Hello, everyone. I welcome you all in today's session on machine learning algorithms. So in this second session, we will be continuing with our discussion of regressions and machine learning algorithm that we started in the last class. Today, we are looking at logistic regression. In the previous class, we looked at linear regression. So just let me give a quick intro. So in linear regression, we have we have a variable y which we want to figure out as a function of maybe some c0 plus c1 x1 plus c2 x2 plus cn xn. So basically there is our data set looks like this. So it has lot of variables x1 x2 x3 xn, and there is a target variable called y. Okay, so we have some values. These values can be v1, v2, v3, and y is some y1. So we want to kind of study the behavior of this target variable y with respect to all these other features. Okay, x1, x2, x3 up to xn can be our features, right? In linear regression, we wanted to study about how can I map this whole behavior in kind of a straight line. So in case of a two-dimensional vector, suppose I just want to figure out this is my y. It can be your price of the house, just like we saw in the last class, and this is the feature. So feature can be number of rooms. Okay, so if it is a 2 bhk or a 3 bhk or a 4 or something like that, so how the price of the houses is varying. Okay, so just if I just want to study the variation of y with respect to some c0 plus c1, a number of rooms, n means number of rooms. Okay, if I just want to study how can I predict the price of a house based on the number of rooms, right? And I want to model whole this thing as a straight line. So basically this is what our linear regression model looks like. So we want to map or fit a straight line into our data distribution. Okay, so this is a straight line in 2D. We can make a straight line in multiple dimensions, in 3 dimensions, just like if you hold a rope and two people hold a rope, so it's kind of a straight line in 3 dimensions. Similarly, we have multiple dimensions, but we cannot draw or see multiple dimensions on a 2D screen. Okay, so we can extend the same concept into multiple dimensions like this, right? So it is kind of fitting a straight line into multiple directions, multiple dimensions. Multiple dimensions means I can study multiple features, the dependence of multiple of my price of the house into multiple features, like number of houses in the room, a square feet of the room, or which city is the house in. Okay, so I can kind of map a straight line which will pass through all these different dimensions. Okay, length, breadth, height. So we have multiple dimensions in case of data. So here we are extending our concept into a logistic regression, right? So we all know what a regression is. Now the different part here is logistic. Previously it was a linear regression, where we try to fit a straight line into our data. Okay, so that once we know this equation of straight line from the given data, then I can predict any new parameter which is unknown before. So basically I know how the price is distributed as of today based on the last 10 years of data. Then I can predict, okay, if the house comes up in Bangalore in this certain house, a certain area which has 2 or 3 bhk rooms, and what can be its price. So it helps me make predictions. Okay, so now logistic regression is also a mathematical model which kind of looks like this. Okay, so it's a different shape. Okay, so let's explore what my logistic regression is in this lecture. Okay, so we wanted to learn about logistic regressions as a method of classification. Okay, so one important thing is that in the previous class in linear regression, we were doing a regression. Okay, so basically my output is you can say continuous. Okay, continuous means it is like price, like weight. Okay, it is a real number. It belongs to a real number. Here when I talk about classification, what classification is, classification gives you uh, the output is not a not a not does not mean anything as a real number, but it is made of classes, or you can say different groups. So suppose based on the picture I want to figure out whether it's a cat or a dog, whether do you have corona or not, right? Yes or no. Or my output is either yes or no, will it rain tomorrow or not, or whether I will pass this exam or not. Okay, so when my output is kind of in this binary, or you can say categorical nature, where my output belongs to some classes, there are some groups. Okay, but there is not a real number which I want to predict. So we are using logistic regression as a method for classification. So some examples can be the spam versus ham emails. So whether email is a spam email or not, or a regular email. Loan default, whether a person based on, so a bank is ready to give you loan, so it will only judge, it will judge you based on the profile that you have with the bank. How much money do you have in your bank account? How much property do you owe? Is there any kind of loan running, or are there any kind of investments that you have made with the bank? So based on that, they will determine whether you will be able to pay back the loan or not. Just one parameter. Okay, which is called loan default. Then disease diagnosis, we can go through all kinds of, blood test and urine test and all other fluid tests of the body, just and the report will say whether we have some certain diseases or not, right? So based on all these different features, my output here just belong to any one of the class, whether we have it or don't have it, or whether we have, whether it is we have first class, or it's second grade or third grade cancer, or what stage it is in. So when I want to do this kind of division or identification in my data, we address this problem as a classification problem. Okay, so above all were examples of binary classification. So here we have seen in all the examples there were only two classes, binary. So my output can belong to either one of the class. Okay, whether it is a ham email or a spam email, whether he will be able to pay, a customer will be able to pay the loan or not, or whether based on a report, diagnostic report, do you have a disease or not. Okay, so so far we have only seen regression problems where we try to predict a continuous value, right? So although the name may be confusing at first, logistic regression allows us to solve a classification problem where we are trying to predict discrete categories. So basically we are calling it as logistic regression, but we are actually using it for classification, right? So just a simple way to understand is that based on some based on all your marks, you are allotted divisions in rank in school, right? So if your marks are between 90 to 100, you get a grade. If your marks are between 80 to 90, you get B grade. If they are between 70 and 80, you get C grade, right? So basically the marks are real number, but on top of that I'm putting some rule. Between 90 to 100 is A class, 80 to 90 is B class, and 70 to 80 is C class, right? So this kind of division is giving me an output in terms of classes. Okay, so I got A, I got B, I got C, like that, right? So I'm basically converting a real number value into categorical outputs, or into different classes or different buckets where I can put students. Okay, so all those people who scored 90 A grade sit together, all those students who scored B grade sit together, right? So we can do some classification based on the real number value. So similarly here also we are using logistic regression as a to predict a discrete category, right? So here the grade you get in your subject ABCD is a discrete category. So the convention for binary classification is to have two classes, 0 and 1. So basically to represent the two classes in mathematically, we just directly use 0 and 1, right? So 0 means absence of something, 1 means presence of something. Okay, it is there or not. So male or female can be easily represented in form of 0 and 1. Okay, so why can't we use a normal regression model on binary groups, right? So the one question can come that I have a straight line already, so why I need a curve or a why do I need any other model to differentiate my or to classify my data? Okay, so suppose I'm discussing about a test. I will take your MRI and I will, based on your size of your some tumor or a patient, I will tell whether the tumor is deadly or it is curable, right? So it is based on an actual data set. So most of the data was distributed like this, right? So basically my y or my output variable can actually take two values, whether it is treatable, whether it is not treatable, based on the size of the tumor, right? So it is size, it is smaller. As the size starts to get bigger, the kind of I get more outputs as non-treatable or lethal tumors, right? So so I what I want to have is, so instead of having a straight line, I want to have, because my data is something like this, if the size is increases, then I get more values here. So I kind of want to have a curve like this, where my output is just lying between 0 and 1, and a straight line may not solve my problem completely. Okay, so just have a look at this particular graph, right? So we have some probability or some numbers, and and the distribution looks like this. So most of the values are here on at 0, and other values are between 1, right? So there are multiple values, there can be multiple values in between these two things. But if I use a straight line to predict this kind of behavior, where I have my values here and my values here, then my line may not give me exact cutoff to tell, okay, which class I want this to fall. Okay, whether it is 0 or 1. uh, think of an example where based on your cut marks 30, 33, 40, 50%, I want to say whether you are pass or fail. Okay, the linear regression will give me my marks in a subject, whether it is 70, 40, 50, 60, 34, 37, whatever, and my output will be, my function will, whether I'm a pass or fail. So I can fix my distribution, my marks to be at 50%. So less than 50% means fail. So all the values which are so if this is the line, so all the values which are lying at almost 50% here, so all these students will be counted as failed, and all these students will be counted as pass, right, based on this kind of a regression. But here we have a limit, because marks cannot be more than 100. But suppose we are talking about a data set where along infinity, so if you go up to infinity, so you get, if you keep increasing to very high number, you get more values in this class and less values in this class. So this is my distribution, something like this. So if initially the values are almost equal to 0, and as I increase the x-axis, I get more values equal to 1, right? So to model this kind of a behavior with a straight line can be very difficult. Okay, so instead we want to transfer our linear regression into a logistic regression curve. So basically I want, because the straight line is so rigid, I cannot change its shape to adapt this kind of data distribution. Okay, so we use mathematics for our help. So we have a function called sigmoid function. This is the sigmoid function, right? So it is basically when you say some function y is equal to 1 upon 1 upon to the power minus x. Okay, so if you put for all the values of x starting from minus infinity to infinity, if you put all the values, you will get the output y values between 0 and 1 only, right? This is the beauty of this particular mathematical expression. So whatever value of z you put, minus 99, minus 100, minus 5000, plus 5000, plus 10,000, I will always get a value between 0 and 1. Okay, and this is how the shape of my plot looks like, a shape of sigmoid function looks like. So this sigmoid function is only called as logistic function. So that's why this regression is called as a logistic regression. Okay, we want to transform our straight line into this kind of a smooth curve between our data. So the easiest or the simplest way to do is that instead of z, I will put the output of my y. So y is equal to mx plus c. So whatever output I get from a linear regression, I will just put this output in this particular formula. So I will get my, you can say y logistic, or you can y, or any output you can name it as 1 upon 1 plus e to the power minus mx plus c. Right now, for every value of y, for every value of my marks or of my, you can say whatever my parameter was, I will get a value between 0 and 1. So y only varies between 0 and 1. This is y, so this is 0 and this is 1. This is how the value of y is varying. Right, so this means we can take our linear regression solution and place it into the sigmoid function. So my y variable is varying only between two classes because it's a binary classification. So I can convert all of my linear model output into a logistic model like this. So this blue line is the linear regression, this is the equation, and the logistic model has its formula. So I will put this output here, right? And when I solve it, I'll get this values between 0 and 1. Okay, so now I can easily set this point. So wherever this point is, maybe say zero point 0.5, so whatever values are more than 0.5, they all already belong to the class 1. Whatever values which are below 0.5, they belong to class 0. Okay, so maybe they have cancer or no, or something like that. Okay, so this result in a probability from 0 to 1 of belonging in the one class. So we can set off a cutoff point at 0.5. Anything below it results in class 0. Anything above it is class 1. Okay, so here 0.5, this red line is our cutoff point. So the output of linear logistic regression will be a value between 0 and 1. And if the value is more than 0.5, we say yes, it is, you have it's a spam email. Simple, it's a spam email, or you are pass. Okay, or yes, you kind of do not have disease, no disease. Okay, and if it is below, we can say it's a regular email, right? Based on my parameter, it's a regular email, or you failed the exam, or yes, you have disease. Yes, disease, right? So so basically for all the values of z, if I see my values are lying between if the output is less than 0.5, I will put it in one class. If my value lies in above 0.5 or above the cutoff, it lies in the other class. Okay, so just to put it simply, we use the logistic function to output a value ranging from 0 to 1. Based off of this probability, we assign a class. So basically in logistic regression, when we use it for a classification, my output will always be between 0 and 1, and based on my data and based on my domain knowledge, I will design a cutoff between 0 and 1, like 0.5, 0.3, 0.6. So in our school, this cutoff is 0.33, right? So it's not always 0.5, and it is always not a good choice to decide the cutoff is at 0.5. So because this thing is kind of based on a natural phenomena or real world phenomena, so we have to have some domain knowledge. So if this cutoff has been set for 0.5 in our school systems, then half of us would have never passed our school, right? So similarly, if suppose in corona testing, we take the blood cells and do some kind of performance, and we get some value. So a value of a chemical inside our blood to be this of milligrams. Okay, so if this value is more than, so we will convert that. So that value can take any form, na? So suppose right. Like any substance, any chemical substance, if you eat more sugar, your blood will have more sugar. So if you put more, and there is no limit to how what is more in terms of consumption of sugar. So your blood can contain any number of any milligrams of sugar per liter of your blood. Okay, so I to put a cap on this, I can convert the output into of any blood or if any blood test into 0 and 1. Whatever chemical is there, you give me its value in 0 between 0 and 1, right? So in 0 and 1, I can decide, okay, if this value is more than this particular type of chemical is found more than 0.2 milligrams, then you should we will treat you as corona positive, or if you are dengue positive, or you should start taking this medicine, or you should start consuming less sugar, right? So that threshold, this thing is also called threshold, is defined by us. Okay, so now just let's revise or go through this concept of logistic regression again with an example, right? So this is an example of tumor size and whether they are malignant or not. Malignant means whether it is lethal or not, whether it is deadly or not. So kind of it is yes, it is deadly, and no, it is not deadly, it is normal, right? So kind of fever, whether the fever is too much to go to hospital, or it is fine, you can stay at home, something like that. So based on tumor size or tumor any tumor in brain, you based on the MRI images or other kind of imagery, medical imaging processes. Based on the tumor size, I want to figure out whether the tumor is lethal, deadly or not. Okay, so when I observe a doctor, actually when a doctor recorded all this data and tried to do a plot, so he found many values to be equal to zero, close to based on the tumor size. So when the tumor size is less, the generally if it's a small tumor, then it most probably not lethal, it can be treated easily. If the tumor size is larger, we have the of course the its criticality, or it becomes more lethal if the bigger the tumor gets, right? So my data will mostly look like this. So my data will mostly look like this: lots of values, lesser values, right? So as I keep going towards the right hand side of the axis, I get more values into the malignant or the deadly category, right? So what if the dog I advise the doctor to use a linear regression to solve this problem. So his line would have looked like this. Suppose in the data there is one tumor which is very high, big in size, right? And I fit a linear regression to this kind of data distribution, so I will get a probably a line like this, right? So for this, suppose the cutoff is it's somewhere at here, right? So according to this linear regression, all these points are categorized as non-lethals, right? Because all the points below this will fall into one category, and these points can be left out, right? So if I decide at 0.5, I'll get 0.5 at somewhere here, but actually these all tumors can also be very lethal, right? But I'm not able to capture this phenomena in my linear regression model, right? So here if my data distribution is like this normal, then I can use a linear regression to actually make it work. So whatever my output is, I can set it to, okay, if y is more than say 750, it is sub 750 nanometer of the tumor size, then it is lethal, otherwise it is not, right? But if my data has some discrepancies, or if because we do not know how a real world data is generated, right? So if my data it looks like this, then at some point my linear regression model will start to fail. So what we want instead is that we want a continuous curve, like for all the values of x and y's. Okay, for all the values of x's, my y is always lying between 0 and 1. Okay, so I can confidently say that none of the cases are being left out, right? So basically we now once we have started doing analysis, and when we have hypothesized like, okay, this thing can be generalized as a logistic regression or can be used as a linear regression, but throughout our analysis I cannot change my hypothesis or my model or design every time. Okay, so it's better, I want so basically I want to figure out a function which will give me this. So whatever the input of tumor size is, so this is tumor size, and I will give tumor size. The output will be a value between 0 and 1. 0 and 1, any value between this, like a scale, on a scale. This is 0, this is 1. So my output can lie anywhere in between. Okay, so how we do it generally is that, so on the left hand side and the right hand side, on the left hand side we have linear regression, and on the right hand side we have logistic regression. It's kind of shows a mathematical comparison of what the both of the two algorithms are doing. So here in case of a linear regression, we have the output, all the blue dots are my data points, and the red line is the linear straight line that we fit on this data using linear regression, just like we saw in the last class, right? So here the output is a real number, is a number and a continuous variable, right? So mathematically I can write, so here whatever we address as y naught, here it is they are treating as that at h naught. H naught means hypothesis. So normally people who are not coming from mathematical or engineering background, they treat or they use this concept of regressions using on hypothesis. Hypothesis is something, a model that I want to predict, I want to make from based on my data, right? So based on my learning and understanding using past data, I want to model make a mathematical model of some real world happening. Okay, it is also called a hypothesis. I want to we are hypothesizing or expecting some data distribution to work as logistic regression, or to be distributed as a logistic curve or a linear curve, right? So it's a multiple linear regression because we assume it to depend on multi-dimensional features, right? So if you write it in matrix form, it looks like this. I don't know if you have studied matrices in your school. Yeah, but so this is just a matrix, it's a collection, it's a vector of all the theta
Yeah, yeah,
vectors.
it's
Yeah, and this is x1 and x2 are the features, right? It's a column vector. So if you matrix multiplication, you will get this simple multiple linear regression formula. This whole thing can be written as h naught is equal to theta transpose of x. So theta means all the variables that I want my model to learn. These are the constants, right? So theta naught is constant. Theta one is how much change in h naught per unit change of x1, right? The slope theta one, theta slope with respect to x1, slope with respect to x2. Okay, the in the line we just see the last lecture, you will understand. So all of this can be written as theta transpose, and x is written as x, this capital X is equal to the vector of x1, x2, x3 up to xn, right? Like a column vector. Now on the right hand side we have logistic regression. Here the my output is a categorical variable, generally yes or no, between 0 and 1 only, and the equation. So here my hypothesis is that uh, we are converting a straight line into an output between 0 and 1. So we are putting the output of my this hypothesis inside my logistic regression function, right? So where the value of g is a sigmoid function. So basically what we want to do is find in this function, put the output of my linear regression here like this. So my h naught becomes 1 by 1 plus e to the power minus theta transpose of into x, right? So this is simply put. So mathematically it is a straight line, it will give me real values, but because of this sigmoid function my values are getting squished between 0 and 1 only. That's the difference, and that's the kind of the importance where how we can use a regression for classification, right? So after we train a logistic regression model on some training data, we you will evaluate your model's performance on some test data. So this is of course after performing any kind of model evaluation, we need to test model training, we have to test our data. Okay, so next is we can use a confusion matrix to evaluate classification models, as we have seen in the introduction to machine learning lecture. So we will use a confusion matrix, right? Whether prediction is right or wrong, and whether it was actually right or wrong, right? So we will construct a matrix like this, where on the y-axis I have predicted no, predicted yes, and on the x-axis we have actual no and actual yes. So it is like cat or dog predicted by my model, and it is like whether they are actually cat or dog. Okay, so just to recall, we have data collection, the steps of machine learning. We collect data collection, then we kind of perform cleaning data cleaning, then we kind of perform the split, test and train, right? And so one part becomes test and one part becomes train, right? So we train to make our model, right? And we test our model using the test data set, right? So basically these are the questions which I want my our student to memorize or remember or learn from these questions, and I will judge him on this test set performance. Okay, so here these are the result of the training set, right? So here it predicted, so out of say suppose 1n is equal to 165, 165 patient took this diagnostic test, right? My model said 50 of them did not have they said 50 of them, my test said they do not have corona, and actually 50 of them did not have corona. That's right. My model said 10 of them has corona, but they actually did not had corona, right? Because actually they were no. And my model said for five people they do not have corona, but actually they had corona, right? And for 100 people my model said yes they have corona, and my model said yes they have corona. That means this is thing is a correct predictions, right? So basically my model can make two kind of predictions, whether they have corona or they do not have corona. And this my prediction of my model can also be correct or right or wrong, right? So if my model says some guy has corona, then on an reality they can have corona and they do not have corona, right? So these are the four cases that can arise. Okay, so here for our example test, so our case is test for presence of a disease. So we will, so no means negative, that test said negative, corona negative, right? And yes said yes, the test tested positive. That means true. Okay, so now what we can gain from this confusion matrix, right? So so what is the accuracy of my model? Suppose the one corona test is that swab testing, it takes around 20 to 25 minutes and it gives you a result. So how good is that, right? So suppose it says we will, to check the overall accuracy, what we will do, so what are the correct predictions? They are correct predictions, correct predictions. My test said they do not have corona and actually they do not have corona. These are the 100 people for whom my test said they have corona and they actually had corona. So out of, so I 50 plus 100, out of the total people are 165, I get 0.91 as my accuracy, right? Now what is the misclassification rate? Misclassification rate means how many times my model was wrong, right? So basically you can directly count by so this is what, how many times my model was right, and my the total probability we know that is always one. So I can just to figure out how many times my model was incorrect, I can directly do 1 minus 0.91, or I can follow this method. uh, so overall how often it was wrong, so my model was wrong here and my model was wrong here. So 5 times my model said they do not have corona, but the person actually had corona. And 10 times my model said the person does not, the person has corona, but he does not actually had corona, right? So it will be what, 10 plus 5 divided by 165, right? So it comes out to be 0.09. Okay, and there are some terminologies which I want you guys to keep in mind, like true positives, true negatives, false positive, and false negatives. So one trick to remember is that true positive means truly predicting positive, right? That means predicting positive, my model predicted positive and it was true, like actually he was positive. Now what becomes false negative? False negative is falsely predicting negative. That means my model said negative, but it was false. That means they were actually positive, right? Right. So false negatives are which my model says yes they are negative, but in reality they are not negative, they are positive. Just like my model said yes they have corona, but they do not actually have corona, right? Or whatever. So it also depends whatever class you are treating as positive and negative. Here we are treating no class first, so I get false negatives over here, right? So making false predictions, making negative predictions but falsely, right? So just this question can be asked in any of the interviews: what are type 1 errors and what are type 2 errors? So false positive means falsely predicting positive, right? So one example can be you go to a doctor and they say you are a man and they say you are pregnant, right? So test can say that, but it will be a false positive. Why? Because we know that a man can never be positive, can never be pregnant, right? So it is a false positive. And type 2 error is false negative, that means falsely predicting negative. So apparently pregnant lady goes to a doctor and my test says sorry, you are not pregnant, right? So my test is performing wrong predictions. My test is saying you are not positive, but the lady is actually positive. So we have a falsely predicting negative, correct? So my test predicted negative, test for pregnancy predicted negative, but it is false, but because the lady is actually pregnant. Okay, so I think this is it with respect to this logistic regression theory. And now in the next session we will be looking at this as a Python implementation. How can I implement all this thing in Python, right? So basically all the math has been taken care of by the Python library, scikit-learn. We'll be using the logistic regression module of the library, right? And I will define my problem in a Pythonic way, right? What is my y variable? What are my x variables? I will then take the data, split it into training and test set. In the training set, I will then fit my model. Okay, from logistic regression, I will create an instance of my model, and I will reuse it to train it on my given data, right? So I will try to fit a logistic regression S-like curve on my data set, and I will try to make some predictions out of it. And I will also try to judge what is the performance of my model, whether my model is correct or not. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can ask now. Otherwise, maybe we can start a new meeting to discuss the Python implementation.